Thank you, Mr. President. As Indiana's senator, my top priority and most fundamental responsibility is to ensure the security of the people of Indiana and our nation, as well as the security of our friends and allies, including Israel and the Gulf states. And it's through the lens of these solemn obligations that I have carefully reviewed and evaluated the proposed nuclear agreement. In making this decision, I bring to bear not only my responsibilities as a United States Senator, but as the ranking member of the Armed Services Subcommittee on Strategic Forces, overseeing our nation's own nuclear arsenal and global non-proliferation efforts. My convictions as a strong supporter of Israel and my concerns as a Hoosier who has attended the funerals of too many young men and women lost protecting our nation in this conflict-ridden region. After an exhaustive assessment and careful thought, I determined that despite my questions about Iran's intentions, the most responsible course of action is to give this agreement the opportunity to succeed. It is not the agreement I would have written, but it is the one we have to make a decision on. And I believe the alternative is much more dangerous to our country and to Israel. While reasonable people can disagree on the substance of the agreement, we can all agree that a nuclear-armed Iran poses an unacceptable threat to global security, and the Iranian leadership should not and cannot be trusted. The question then becomes, how can we most effectively eliminate Iran's nuclear threat? This agreement rolls back Iran's nuclear capabilities, shrinks its program, and gives us unprecedented access with the most intrusive inspections and verification regime ever put into place. Iran must get rid of 98% of their stockpiled uranium, more than 2/3 of their centrifuges, and the existing core of their heavy water plutonium reactor. These measures not only give us the opportunity to restrain Iran's nuclear capabilities, but also, according to our military leadership, improve the effectiveness of our military option, should that one day become necessary. Without this agreement, we have the risk of the worst of both worlds. The united front we have formed with the international community against Iran's nuclear program would break apart. The agreement would dissolve. Sanctions relief flows into Iran from those countries that are no longer willing to hold the line, and Iran is left with tens of thousands of centrifuges capable of producing highly enriched uranium, a heavy water reactor capable of producing weapons-grade plutonium, and a breakout time of just 2 to 3 months. And while I support this agreement, I also recognize the only true guarantee that Iran will never become a nuclear-armed state is the steadfast resolve of the United States and our allies to do whatever is necessary to stop them and to put in place the policies to make that happen. With or without this deal, the day may come when we are left with no alternative but to take military action to prevent Iran from crossing the nuclear threshold. The burden and danger would, as always, be on the shoulders of our service members who put their lives on the line for our country. Indiana is home to the nation's 4th largest National Guard contingent, with more than 14,000 Hoosiers standing ready to serve their communities and our country. These men and women and the thousands of Hoosiers who serve in the reserves and on active duty across the country and around the world have been called to serve time and time again. They have done so with honor and distinction. They make up the greatest fighting force the world has ever seen, and I have every confidence in their ability to meet any challenge put before them. If the day does come that I am faced with a vote on whether to authorize military action against Iran, I owe it to our armed forces and to the people of Indiana to have tried all other options to stop Iran before we consider putting our service members into harm's way. We stand ready to take military action if needed, but we owe it to the young men and women who protect our country on the front lines, from Terre Haute and Angola and Evansville and Indianapolis, to at least try to find a peaceful solution.
A couple minutes at the end. Thank you.
They should be able to expect at least that much from us here in the Senate.
Thanks.
And if that solution does not succeed, they stand ready. While I share the concerns expressed by the agreement's critics about what may happen 10 years or 15 years or 20 years from now, I cannot in good conscience take action that would shift the potential risks of 2026 and 2031 to 2016. I believe this agreement is, as my predecessor and friend, former U.S. Senator Richard Lugar recently said, our best chance to stop an Iranian bomb without another war in the Middle East. I owe Senator Lugar and my other fellow Hoosier former Congressman Lee Hamilton a great debt of gratitude for their input and expertise throughout this process. This deal will not resolve every problem we have with Iran. It must be part of a comprehensive strategy to counter the broader threat Iran poses through their support for terrorists and other proxies across Syria, Iraq, Lebanon, Yemen, and elsewhere. I remain committed to working with my colleagues and friends on both sides of the aisle to confront these challenges with a clear, decisive strategy in the Middle East. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield back my time.